we've seen how bad it has been. How much worse can it get? How much more will the people take before they stand up?
On June 14th, workers in Chattanooga, Tennessee, voted down a union by a margin of 833 to 776. It was the second time in less than 5 years that workers at the plant in Chattanooga, Tennessee, have voted against unionizing by only a few percentage points. While there's still a strong union contingent of over 700 workers that are pro-union in the plant, the union has decided that they're going to use a minority union to continue to push for shop floor changes. What's happening in Chattanooga presents a model for what could happen over the rest of the United States in hard-to-organize shops where minority unionism is a reality.
Each step going up, it was difficult for me because this is my first time honestly doing that. So walking up those stairs, I didn't know what was going to happen. I've still got to provide for my family. Each step I took, I got more and more nervous until I got to the top, and I finally looked down the stairwell. When I saw my coworkers coming behind me, knowing that not only was I in front of them leading them, but they were behind me pushing me. I mean, that's a great feeling. And then when you walk into the main part of HR's office, and now you've got 40, 45 people strong coming through there, and all of these people that would never expect that, never had any idea that would happen, look up from their desk, just look completely shocked. I mean, that was a damn good feeling. I was proud for my coworkers. I was happy. I was completely elated seeing that they were willing to stand up for not just themselves, but for everyone else in the plant, because that's what people need to realize. 40 or 45 people risked their jobs to make sure everyone had the choice of whether to use vacation or use no pay. And when people realize that 45 people could have lost their jobs for 1,700, I mean, that's a pretty bold movement. That's a pretty bold statement too. So walking through there, and it was funny because I was at the front. I was the one that got to knock on the HR manager's door. So there I go, and I knock. She goes, "Hello." I said, "We need to talk to you. The workers are not happy about some decisions that management's been made." And she said, "Okay, hold on just a second." And so she went back into her office, and she came back out. She said, "I think we need to find a rather large place to talk." I said, "I think that'd be a good idea because I think we're going to be up here for a while." They actually listened to us. We had an assistant manager come in and try to intimidate us and say, "Hey, we need these people back to the line. The line's not running." And certain management in the plant said, "They'll be back down when we're done talking to them. You can leave now." And obviously it made that assistant manager mad. But they actually listened to us. They realized that there was a problem. They realized that there was a lot of upset workers. And not just that issue, because while it started out as taking the vacation time, it boiled over into a lot of different issues that workers want to talk about, and they listened.
We're here at the Chattanooga Billiards Club, a popular hangout for workers near the auto plant. We're here with Professor Abe Walker, an expert in labor studies.
The Local 42 was able to act as a union, as you say. The fact that they were able to continue, building power on the shop floor ended up being meaningful. I mean, members have been acting as a union over the last 5 years, and that can only be a good thing when it comes to this election.
What do you think overall that says, though, about the role of minority unions in the South? Look, we have all these shops that are difficult to organize.
Right.
What can people achieve simply through knowing labor law, through knowing how to protest? Obviously, these teacher strikes all happen in states. I mean, what does this say more broadly?
Well, so there's a controversy among students of the labor movement as to whether or not minority unions are simply a stepping stone toward building a majority union, or whether they're a good thing in and of themselves. And I mean, in this case, I'd say that the jury's still out. It's clear that minority unions have allowed this drive to be much more successful than it otherwise might have been. It's not totally clear that this minority union was all that successful over the last 5 years in its own right, though.
But did the minority union help establish somewhat the idea that the union here was made up of local folks running local things, as opposed to some outside agitators coming in?
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that the UAW was able to put Local 42's stamp on this campaign and draw upon a series of elected officials who come from Chattanooga representing local union, as opposed to simply drawing upon the knowledge of outsiders or outside organizers, that was meaningful. It means that the drive in appearance and in actuality has a local stamp on it.
We're here with Ike, a body assembly line worker at Volkswagen. That's why he's for the union.
There's just a lot of mistreatment of certain people and targeting of people and things of that nature that I think a union would be better for representing people.
What kind of job do you do in the plant?
I work in a body shop, so I'm pretty much assembling the car, putting doors, hoods, hinges, and things of that nature.
And is it difficult work?
I work on one of the harder lines. Yes.
So what do you have to do in your job?
I fit doors, so I'm hitting hinges with a hammer and a deal rod for 2 hours. You're lifting doors, you're lifting hoods. Mostly just physical work, more physical than most of the other lines.
Is it sort of part of the good old boy system, some of these players?
Yeah, you got a lot of that going on. Just a lot of that. Just say you got a guy that's started maybe as a supervisor and he's made it to an AM or a manager. All of his buddies got good jobs. And you got a guy that's, they might be quality, they might be a specialist, team leads, and the other guys that may be deserving of that job don't get to move in that direction. So a lot of that goes on.
What is the local political scene been like for this vote?
Well, the governor of the state, Bill Lee, he came here to the plant and told workers not to unionize, that he thought it would make it tougher to attract businesses to this part of Tennessee if there was a union plant. For folks who've never worked in a union, never really been around unions, that's a scary thing to say. They don't really understand what's going on.
Has UAW been able to go into the plant and talk to workers directly?
No, the UAW hasn't been able to go in the plant. Actually, a German union official showed up here yesterday wanting to monitor the election, and he was kicked out of the plant. This has never happened before when Volkswagen does elections. What we're seeing here is a company that is working with the local political elite. They're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in the local media to try to turn the community against the union. But actually the opposite is happening. The community is getting the unions back. The issue is right now is if the workers on the floor support it. And the big divide we're seeing is between veteran workers who've been here a number of years and new workers. For many new workers, we were just talking to an anti-union worker. He's making $17 an hour. He says that's twice what he was making in his old job. He says this is the best job he's ever had. For many folks like that, they don't want to screw it up. They don't understand unions. All they hear is the UAW destroyed Detroit, UAW destroyed the Rust Belt. Do we really want to bring them down here? And they're playing on that sense of regional identity. Robert Shortoff says that memories of Detroit's collapse weigh heavily in the union drive down south.
The ones that don't want to, they'll try to sit there, well, the plant's going to close down, it's the UAW. Okay, what people don't realize, it's going to, they'll say, like, what happened in Detroit's going to happen here. No. What happened in Detroit is not the UAW's fault. What happened to Detroit was years of bad management. They built cars that nobody want, like the Ford Pinto, the Chevy Vega, cars like that, and they had bad quality. And then when the recession hit, they had to still pay people's pensions. And so the companies were running out of money. Mm-hmm. And so that's the reason why they had to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
But, it's not, nothing that really the UAW did.
The road to a union is long at Volkswagen, with workers only needing to flip 29 more votes. They say they're going to continue fighting on. They hope to have another election in a year or two. In the meanwhile, the union says it's committed to engaging in minority unionism and tactics and continuing to pressure Volkswagen on the shop floor. Here's Brian Rothenberg, spokesperson for the United Auto Workers, pledging that his union will continue to stand by workers in Chattanooga as they continue to organize on the shop floor.
We're not going to abandon any of these workers who supported this union. As you know, we have labor unions have a very important role in Volkswagen as a company internationally, and it's the only non-union plant in the world.
United Auto Workers spokesperson Brian Rothenberg cited the role of dark money, particularly the group Southern Momentum, an anti-union group set up by the anti-union lawyer Maury Nicely, for their role in defeating the union.
Ideological interference. Southern Momentum didn't exist. All of a sudden, Southern Momentum exists, and tens of thousands of dollars flow into it. Their main spokesperson wasn't from the plant. Clearly, state of U.S. labor law, quite frankly. The state of U.S. labor law, when it comes to organizing a major plant, has made it almost impossible the hurdles that a worker would have to have.
Workers at Volkswagen say they're going to continue fighting on. They're going to continue employing the tactics of minority unionism, including possibly wildcat strikes, in order to persuade local workers that the union is indeed part of the community and not some outside force from up in Detroit.
You know, I'm very proud of my coworkers. I'm looking forward to going back to work and still working with them and not having the animosity, because, you know, we had the anti-union group out there tonight in the back of an F-150, you know, hooting and hollering, trying to raise a big stink about it. And I honestly believe that, you know, whichever way it went, if the union would have came in, we wouldn't have tried to rub it in their face or anything. We would have embraced them and said, come on, if you've got good ideas, join your union and bring your ideas to the forefront, and let's make it better for everyone. Until people realize that, there may always be, unfortunately, an anti-union sentiment. But I just want my coworkers to know I'm going to stand there with my head held high. I'm still going to do my job. I'm still going to be proud of the work that I do. I'm going to be a proud Volkswagen worker, but I still believe that there's a better way that the company can be ran.